We're gonna give it just one more minute, Anne. Can you hear me now? She just said.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, of course.
I wasn't sure if you started yet.
We just thought we would wait like one more minute to see if there's anyone else jumping on Zoom or walking in.
Comfy seat back there.
Yeah, he's got 2 other calls. I'm gonna juggle 2 other calls.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. What'd you say?
Jeremy's at the adult table.
Or the kids table, whichever way you want to look at it. Don't allow them to come in here. All right, you guys, let's get started and then people can jump in as they need it. So thanks for being here. We'll talk open houses. Lots of I've heard a lot about open houses right now, and I've got a couple of friends who are acquaintances, I should say, who decided to list their home with not me and not with KW, with another brokerage. And both of them, their agents told them that open houses were a waste of time and that the only people that would come were neighbors. And I bit my lip really, really hard. And one of the guys said, "It looks like you want to say something." And I said, "I do, because I think open houses are so valuable, even if you only have one party." So I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say and how you've been so successful. So let's start out by just introducing yourself and what brokerage you're from and maybe how long you've been in the industry. This chair is
So Stephen DeGrief, in the Otsego office, and going on 9 years in the business now. So
Are you individual? Are you on a team? Do you run a team? People? Okay.
So started up with joined my mom's team.
Okay.
And it was me and her. She's since retired since COVID hit. So it's me and I got 2 admin that work with me and then
Awesome.
agents that help out with showings. So
It's great.
Mike Taylor, with the Keller Williams Eden Prairie office here. About 3.5 years as a realtor. I'm on the Pauling Home Street.
Thanks.
I'm Farah. I'm also with Eden Prairie, and I've been here 3 years, and I am on a team.
Wonderful. So open houses, is it your main lead generation source? Is it, how often are you guys doing open houses? Just give us a little background on as to how often you do open houses.
going on the line again.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump around
Yeah.
right now. Let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, open houses have always been in our top 5 lead sources, year after year. Once COVID hit, it kind of fell off a little bit. I feel like more people were just represented at open houses than, for us to work with, but year after year, always been a beneficial source for us. And I do an open house with every new listing that I have, so I'm not really going out there and asking other agents to do them, but every listing that we have, we do an open house efforts with them.
Okay, great.
Between open houses, door knocking, and just doing my calls, those are my primary sources. Open houses, I do them as often as I can. Every chance I get, I do open houses for anybody else on our team that doesn't want to do them or can't do them. I just feel they're a valuable source of number one, meeting new clients, and then also if you're trying to modify what you say to people or come up with new things to say, it's kind of a good place to try them out on people.
That's a great point. How about you, Farah?
Yeah, it's not our main lead source. We look at it kind of from a different angle that's still beneficial, where we go from the seller's point. But do one for every one of our listings, and if it doesn't sell right away, we try to every once in a while have one, not too frequently, because you don't want people to think it's just an open door, but give people opportunities to come in to see it.
Okay, so let's start there. So I like I said, I want to go through the process of an open house or the process of a listing. So let's start with, you have a listing, and what do you communicate to your sellers? What do you tell them about open houses? How do you overcome objections? What are those objections? So Mike, let's start with you. When you are working with a new listing,
Sure.
how do you communicate the value of open houses?
I kind of in a conversation, I say, well, you hired me to sell your home, and I work best talking one-on-one with people. And so what a better way for me to sell your home is talking to people during an open house. I can point out all the plus, the things that you want to emphasize in your home, and I can address any issues that they're seeing that, might cause them concern. And, because like I tell them, I'm gonna sell, and so I'm gonna sell your property. So, you know, as much as you don't want people walking around in your home, this is a great opportunity for people to get, you know, the firsthand experience. I mean, they're gonna, if they like the home on the photos, they're gonna do a showing anyway, so let me have a shot at it and try to really sell it. Home.
Do you guys say anything different?
I guess at the listing appointment, you know, going through, I have like the days on the market, kind of go through that and say, hey, we're gonna list it as a coming soon on a Monday. Launch it live on a Thursday, have that first open house Saturday, Sunday, whatever works best for our schedule. That way, you know, stirring up activity, people are getting in for showings, and then anyone that's left over that can't get out those first 2 days. We're having an option for them to come out to that open house to drive as many people through the door. And also those first showings coming in, they don't like seeing that open house right there on the sign out front, it causes stress. Hopefully gets them to write a bigger and better offer. So that's just another strategy to play that mental game to get more money in their pocket. So
What's the biggest objection you hear from sellers as to why they maybe don't want an open house?
having more people just walking through unattended.
Okay, yep. Anything else?
We get a lot of, if they were serious buyers, they would already be represented. If they're just going through open houses, they probably just want to look around, and we want to have to leave our house outside of regular showings for people that might not be as serious.
How about the neighbors? It's only my neighbors that are gonna come through.
Maybe they have someone that they know that wants to move in, and it's a great way to pick your neighbors. So, you know, going off that, we pass out our flyers to 75 of the closest neighbors and invite them to the open house for that reason and put the neighbors to work for us.
Okay, so let's pause there. Let's go a little bit deeper into that door knocking. So I'm assuming you mean door knocking.
Yep.
Okay, so I know, Mike, you do a ton of this as well and have been very successful in the past week. So you do an open house,
Yep.
You go an hour early, 2 hours early. Walk me through that process.
So during that coming soon timeframe, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, we have our brochures that we make. So these brochures we get made for every one of our listings. We then insert this nosy neighbor flyer in it, pass it out to the 75 closest neighbors in that neighborhood.
Can I see?
Yep. So we get 100 brochures made, 25 sit in the house. The other 75 go to the neighbors with the nosy neighbor, inviting them to the house, saying, this house, the value of this house represents, you know, affects your house. So
I love that.
gets them in, and then the brochures, people do hold on to them, pass them out to friends and family.
That's great. So for those of you on Zoom, this flyer says nosy neighbor. Great, we would love to meet you. And then it just gives the details of the open house. So, and it does say the sale of their house affects the value of yours. So this is great. And I love the nosy neighbor on top, because it is, but you're right. There are people that know other people that want to move into the neighborhood. And so to my friend who I was talking to, I said, I love when the neighbors come through, because you never know, the more eyes and the more people that can see your house, you never know when someone has a brother, a sister, a friend, parents that are looking to move into the neighborhood. So sometimes those are your best clients.
Yeah.
So.
And if the neighbors come in and there's another client there, a lot of times I let the neighbors sell the house for me and the neighborhood and talk about that, because legally we're not supposed to, but
Yeah.
we can let them talk all they want.
Absolutely. Love that. Mike, how about you?
We do something similar. Give it to the address an hour or two beforehand. We go out and door knock the neighborhood. It's kind of, you know, hey, we're out here bothering you and all your neighbors. I'll let you know we have an open house. So if you have a friend or relative you think would make a great neighbor, or you someone looking to relocate, please have them stop by. If not able to make it, my name and phone number is at the bottom of the flyer. Have them give me a call, give them the VIP tour anytime they like. And also it allows for an opportunity to talk to them about their home. And, you know, like there was did open house Friday, and door knocking, got 2 seller leads out of it, just because they're just older and they said they're ready to go, they're ready to sell. So it was just building more relationships.
So Stephen, you door knock like several days prior.
Yeah.
You door knock, you go coming soon on Monday, you door knock Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
Mike, you door knock an hour or 2 before the actual open house.
Yeah, we usually hit 50, as many homes as we can, you know.
Okay. And
Depends
that's,
on the number of conversations we have.
yeah. How about you, Farah? Do you do something similar or anything?
Little different. We don't do door knocking as much as we have a little door hanger that we try to put the day before on doors saying, come by the open house. We would love to hear your feedback on this neighborhood and what makes it so great. Cause a lot of people, nosy neighbor, or where they
Yeah.
say, oh, I might wanna sell in 2 years, but only if I get the right price. So all of
Sure.
a sudden they get curious when it feels like an open invite,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Love
we
it.
don't
So
door
do-
knock as
But
much.
door hangers, you still canvass the neighborhood and get the word out there.
We have those in baggies too, where.
Okay.
When we leave them.
Great, so you leave a little goodie bag,
Yep.
if they don't answer the door.
Yep.
Okay, and is it the same brochure and the
Same
same?
brochure in a plastic bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Case it rains. Okay, so then let's move into the open house starts. Signs, how much, when do you put up signs? How many signs do you put up? I've heard a lot of conversation about this, and some say 4, some say 12, some say 36 hours before,
Yeah.
depends on the city. So what's your secret trick?
I'm putting them out on my way to the house.
Okay,
So I don't put them out a day in advance or anything like that. But typically I put out about 15 signs.
okay,
If it's on a major county road or anything like that, I'm putting 4 signs on each side of the road.
Okay.
To draw more attention because they're driving 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
One sign isn't gonna catch their attention, so
okay,
putting multiple on county roads and then obviously guiding through the neighborhood.
okay. How about you, Mike Fair?
Similar number, 13, 14 signs out there. It's just directional from the major road. Like previously mentioned, 4 signs at major intersections because like I said, traffic's fast and they
Gotta
gotta
get
catch
them,
them.
yep,
Catch their eye. Brings them in, usually, as soon as I get there or on my way to the house, I just start dropping them off. You don't wanna go too soon because some people might go knock on the door of your client's home when they're not wanting visitors. So we try to protect their privacy by not, put them up too soon, but figure within an hour or 2, they know it's coming. It's fair game, so.
Usually 8 to 12.
okay, and you do it right before as well.
Yep, sometimes we put them out a few hours and just have them laying down, but a lot of times I found that the signs are not there when I get back. So I started just putting them out within probably an hour.
I do know there are laws based off of the city that you're in. Maple Grove is very, very strict. But in the past, I've heard of agents that will put them out Friday night and pick them up Sunday. They don't put the one out right in front of the house until the open house actually starts because of what Mike said. But just for marketing, I mean, it's free marketing for you and it gets people thinking like, I wonder where this open house is, and they, look online. So,
I guess with that too, when I'm going out Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm throwing the directional signs of
Okay.
home for sale. That I leave out there until we close on it.
okay,
So not only is my for sale sign out front, it's on 4 or 5 different corners throughout the neighborhood, so all the neighbors are seeing my name every time they come in
yeah,
and people driving by.
perfect. Okay, so the open house starts. Do you have a system, or what is your system of capturing names? Or getting people to sign in? Everyone does it a little bit differently, so let's talk about that. What's your best practice? Barry, you want to start?
Yeah, so we have an iPad that we sit right when you enter and try to make it I feel like that we've had better luck with the iPad than writing, just because a lot of people will walk right past if it's just a piece of paper, whereas an iPad, they feel more like they're supposed to. I don't know if that's just, it's just what we've seen at least.
Do you
And
keep it on the table? Do you have a stand for it? Where is
So
the,
if
where
it's
does,
a slower open house, I'll actually be holding it
okay,
and I'll be waiting by the front door and I'll actually just hand the iPad saying, great, have you sign in, let's start talking casually. I kind of base it on the person though, because some people will walk in and they immediately don't even want to look at you, they're acting like they're going really fast, and for me, I'm not gonna sit there and chase someone around the house if they've made it very clear from the get-go with their body language that they don't wanna have a conversation. But always just be friendly, try to get that right off of that, and if not, when they leave.
and on your iPad, do you have a landing page that's created?
Yeah, so they go directly into our system.
Okay,
We have just some general questions. We usually ask for one or the other, phone or email. They can't put both. We don't require both.
okay,
And then just, do you have an agent? Because some people can be like, oh, I'm already repped. We say, oh, no problem. We'd love to reach out to them to see feedback later, and just makes it feel more comfortable for them that I'm not gonna start sending them 25 texts or something like that.
okay. How about you guys?
When I first started in open houses, I did have a piece of paper. And it was usually left blank, because people would kind of flee from those. I did do the iPad for a while, and some people was kind of hit and miss. I would have it sitting out with a little sign, please sign in, just curious, all that stuff. And I kind of got away from all that, and I read people as they come in. I kind of see how they're behaving, their nonverbal cues. And then, as they walk by, I'll just kind of have little starter questions, just to get them to talk a little bit, to see how receptive they are.
Give us a few, what are a few of your starter questions?
I'll give it my. Just the simple things I know we're here for. Yeah, I know. It's just simple things like, let's see, so what's your current situation? Very non-threatening. And again, I'm not walking up to them, I'm not approaching them. The theory in my head is, and if there's any former car salespeople here, please don't be offended, but, some people view realtors like they do car salesmen. If you step out of your car in a car lot, it's blood in the water, the sharks are on you and you're floundering. And, for same reason why I think door knocking works really well is because you're in their turf, they feel safe. And so I kind of read people through things like, non-threatening questions like that. What's your current situation? How long you've been looking? I don't ask them if they ever have an agent. Eventually it's going to come up. If they feel I'm getting close and, and I start saying things, they'll say, well, I have an agent. Okay, that's great. I just, trying to help you out with your home search. Don't worry, not poaching. And if they really, even then when they say I have an agent, I kind of ask them other questions, because even if they might be talking to somebody, they talk to somebody once or twice. I mean, are they really signed to that agent? I mean, maybe there's a gray area here I'm walking into, but just kind of push the envelope a little bit just to see their commitment. And that works sometimes too, but it's more of just kind of non-threatening, simple, open-ended questions that elicit a response. And a couple of those you can kind of get a good read, a good feel for, and as they're kind of wrapping up, I circle back to those that I kind of had a good vibe with or good feel about, and just try to have a conversation and just try to see if they need assistance, see if they want,
Yeah,
they don't like this home, well, hey, would you be offended if I sent you an email with some other listings in the area?
that's great.
And then, then now you're getting contact.
Sure.
And so then you have a foot in the door.
And I know you, so I know that like the relational approach is how you are so successful at door knocking, and you're good at making that quick connection and building a relationship, whether it may be a 1-minute relationship, but asking those good questions to get them talking so that they feel connected.
And that's on my current new advertising is real estate building relationships. That's what's to me, it's about, I'm going too long, but to me, it's about the relationship. I don't want to be a realtor just up to the point of sale. I want to be a realtor as long as you're gonna have me.
Yeah.
And so it's a long game, and even after they buy a home, and if they need a plumber need, I said, just call me. I know guys.
A relationship.
Yeah,
I know people.
I know people.
How about you, Steven?
Kind of opposite. I
love that.
Yeah, so they walk in, I have my sign-in sheet, my flyer in my hand, and I go and hand it to them.
Okay.
First off, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. How'd you hear about the open house? Or, what brought you in? Just kind of a generic question. I directly hand them the sign-in sheet and the flyer. Hey, here's a little information on the house, and also a sign-in sheet just so the sellers know who's coming in and out. Make it more of a safety thing versus, hey, give me all your information.
Yeah.
98% of them will fill it out. They're always gonna have that, I'm not signing. So, okay, put your name down. That's all I need. But
You would say 98%.
fill out
Yeah.
at least their name, more than likely their address, or at least the town, and then at least the phone number.
Okay.
That's it.
Great.
So I'm having them give it to them, hey, it's for a safety thing. And then it's, a lot of the times they sit down, they start filling it out. I just run through the stats of the house. Hey, here's a 4-bed, 3-bath, 3,000 square feet on this. Here's a couple of the features. They finish it, hand it back to me. Hey, keep the flyer. That's why we print them, whatever.
Yeah.
My main goal when I'm talking to someone is to make them laugh. If I can make someone laugh, their guard is down. Hey, we can have a serious conversation about it. So, and then just say, hey, go take a look at the house. Give me a shout if you have any questions. Then I just position myself in a place in the house, like kitchen, living room, somewhere where they're going to come back to. And then, I notice if they didn't have the information, hey, if they don't put an agent's name, hey, how are you getting into an open, or are you using open houses as your main way to look at houses? It's an easy way to ask, you know, are you working with an agent or not?
Without
directly
saying.
saying, yeah. So, oh, no, we have an agent. Oh, great. Is it, you know, Tyler, you know, Johnson?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know. And great agent. You're in good hands. You know, talk them up a little bit,
Yep.
but. You know, just kind of
Great.
put my way. put my-
So your flyers, those are really great flyers. So you door knock, you do 75 houses, is that what you said? 75 houses, and then you have those and you hand them out. So how much do you typically spend in flyers for an average?
A lot better than they cost. I think it's like $150, $120 for 100 of them.
For 100 of them?
And I get them in 2 days. We send it off and they send it back in 2 days.
What company do you use?
Web to print.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great,
So,
they're beautiful.
Yeah, we have the format and it's just pop, you know, all the information in there and.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so $100 for 100
Yeah.
flyers, so they're nice. Let's stick for a second on safety. So, Mike is a retired police officer.
Okay.
And so we've talked a lot about open house safety, and you mentioned, capturing people's information for safety.
Yeah.
And as a small female, I think about that a lot. Sometimes I think I'm too strong and too tough, but I don't need to worry about it. But being able to know who's coming in, and to create as much of a safe environment is important, I think, for any agent, no matter your gender or size.
Yeah.
So, safety purposes, what do you guys do to make sure that you are safe in an open house besides capturing contact information?
I guess I don't really have a whole lot.
You don't think about
I don't
that.
really think about it, no.
Okay.
But I mean, if it is something, you know. Like I've heard classes of you never lead the way, you always follow, and you know, there are things that I start thinking about.
Okay.
You know, if it is a situation of, hey, you know, these are my first time meeting them, hey, you guys go first, I'll be behind you.
Okay.
Something like that, but.
Sure. Mike, what do you have to say?
Let's see, for an open house, generally it starts when I'm doing the seller's consultation. I'll get there a half hour early and I'll sit down the block a little bit, just kind of get a read. Check the temperature of the block, what's going on, what happens at this time of the afternoon. You know, you kind of get a good feel for how safe is the neighborhood, number one. Number two, then the day of the open house, you know, I try to position myself so I'm seeing everybody coming in. And you can tell who the buyers are and who's not. I mean, if someone's not, if their behavior indicates that they're not like looking at windows and, you know, turning the faucet off and on, maybe they're doing something else, it's gonna stand out from your typical buyer. When I'm done with the open house, I'll generally go around, check all the windows and doors, make sure everything's locked, the sliding doors, such like that, because they're gonna get open. And I hate to have someone break into a home because I was doing an open house and my sellers had something happen that because I didn't re-secure the home, because open house, everybody's, you know, checking doors and windows.
I think
just
that's
to button it up.
important. Yeah.
Yes, I do that, so.
To go,
Yeah.
well, especially afterwards, because you always hear about those stories that people will come in and they will unlock windows or unlock doors to come back in when no one's home. So
Yeah.
doing that is, and assuring your sellers during the process of getting the home listed, that is something that you're gonna do, because sellers get concerned.
And just like within an hour or two, the open house, follow a phone call to the sellers. To say, hey, what do you think? I mean, here's some feedback that I had, here's how many people showed up. You know, anything you want to talk to me about, it gives them the opportunity in case something does come up missing, or at least you're, you know, the follow-up is very important, usually
Yeah.
as soon as you can, within an hour or so. And just tell them, hey, I went around the house and did this, but if you do see something out of place, let me know. Just a good follow.
Anything different?
Little different probably for me. Well, from the seller's standpoint, we always have the conversation up front, whether it be showings or open houses. Do not leave prescription drugs out or any sort of jewelry, because those are the most common things, prescriptions that are stolen. So just to make sure their belongings are safe. But then when it comes to safety of, say, myself, I always do not park right in the driveway. I don't want people to know what my car is, especially depending on area, you can never be so sure. And then I always make sure everything else in the house is locked, so that someone couldn't come through the back door if I'm in the front. And then if it's a slower open house, I always keep the door locked in between, because then I always stand near the front door when there's no one there, and if I see someone coming up, I of course unlock it. That's just more so for me, I don't want to ever be caught off guard. If you quickly use the restroom and all of a sudden someone's in the house, Just, I guess, it's probably sounds a little silly, but I just think you can
Can
never
never
be
be
too safe.
Yep, absolutely. I do many of the same things, yeah. So from a day perspective, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, maybe even Thursday nights, when do you find, or when do you like to do open houses?
I typically do Saturdays,
Okay.
either 12 to 2, or if I do 2, then it's 10 to 12, and then 1 to 3 or 2 to 4,
Okay,
something like that.
but Saturdays tend to be better, and especially just with football season
Yeah.
starting. This past weekend was a
Yeah.
little slower.
I do Sundays, or I used to do them a lot more, but I like to keep Sundays kind of for myself more so.
Okay.
Than not be working, even
Yeah.
though I probably will, so.
Yeah, it's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
How about for you guys?
I typically protect my Sundays, and then, just, yeah. Usually most people like Friday or Saturdays. During the summertime, I found this summer anyway, I tried doing like Wednesday and Thursday open houses and I had, good response to that.
Like a 4 to 6?
Yeah, 3 to 5, 4 to 6.
Okay.
Is that like the
Because
day you list it to, or like if it's a week or 2 later?
if I know that this is something we're gonna do, usually, you go, coming soon for a number of days leading up to it.
Yeah.
And then I go active and then we just have the open house on that day, the first day it's on the market. And, yeah, I had some, good results with that. Just most people do stuff on the weekends and they're out of town.
Especially in the summer.
Yep, exactly. So I'm leaning more towards doing more middle of the week stuff when the weekends are busy for people, so.
What day is your favorite, Farah?
It really depends on the house and the client. If we have a lot of interest up front, a lot of sellers prefer to not do an open house right away. So we'll say, we'll plan for Sunday afternoon if we haven't, because usually Sundays are when you're calling highest and best if you have multiple offers. So then it's, if we don't have a highest and best, then we plan to have this to bring in any stragglers. Otherwise, if they're like, just bring them all in, usually we prefer like a Friday evening, 4 to 6, 5 to 7.
Yeah,
Or Saturday, 12 to 2, 1 to 3.
okay,
Because kids' sports in the morning, people wanting to relax in the afternoon, evening, you don't wanna, butt into those times, because
absolutely.
people then not show up.
Yep. So like we said, Sundays from whenever the Vikings game is, maybe not the best time right now.
Gotta be careful during the
Until,
season.
yeah. So Saturdays, maybe Friday, Saturdays right now. You mentioned calling the sellers after you're done with the open house. So when you leave, following up with the sellers, what is your, follow-up with the people that you have fill out your cards? What does that look like? You've got people that are going right into your database. Do you have a system for follow-up?
Yes.
Kind of.
So I always book a showing through showing time for my clients. Hey, here's the open house. And that way I'm then putting the feedback. Hey, we had 5 people come through. Here are the positives, negatives, everything there. Really descriptive, so that if it doesn't sell, hey, we have that I can bring back. Hey, we had, this many through the open and this many showings. We don't have an offer. I use that for a price reduction conversation.
So you said you do all of your open houses or most of your open
Yeah.
houses, but I think that I want to stick on that point for a second. So you put a showing into showing time
Yeah.
for that open house.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't you and it was another agent doing it,
I
that,
ask them to do the same thing.
and so then it takes away from you having to chase that agent down for feedback, because that feedback is so imperative for the sellers. So I love that tip. So always putting a showing into showing time,
Yeah.
whichever agent is actually doing that. Okay,
And then with the sign-in sheets, I guess it's a little bit different depending if it's sold or if it didn't. So if it did sell, I'm essentially looking, hey, did they write an agent's name on it? If so, I'm just throwing it up. If they didn't, then I'm calling them, hey, this house sold, talking through, what's your game plan? Are you still looking 1 to 2 years? What's your timeline? Just following up that way. And then I'm adding them to my database, adding them to my 36 touch now. And then keeping in touch with them, pretty regularly right away, and
Okay.
then kind of fading off to every other month or whatever it is,
Based off of
based on the
needs.
timeline. Yeah. And then if it's not sold, then I'm calling the agent directly. Hey, are you working with so and so? Yep. Hey, they stopped in my open house. Did they bring it up? Having that conversation.
right? And you have your open house on Saturday?
Yeah.
What does that follow-up time look like?
Typically, I kind of wait till Monday normally, if it's something that I need to get a hold of someone, like, hey, we called for highest and best by Sunday morning.
You'll break your Sunday.
I'll call the people that are interested, or if there was through conversations with interest on.
Right. Okay, Farrah, how about you?
Yeah, I kind of manually decide what kind of communication each needs. It depends on the open house and how many people you get. This, for me, I know nowadays if I have 6 people through my open house, I'm pretty happy. Some you'll have 25, some you have 1. It just
Yeah.
really depends on the house, but if I have less people, it's a lot easier to say, well, I talked to Mary, she was very, shy of this. And kind of, I base what my follow-up's gonna be on that. Now, if you have 25 people throughout the house, it's a little hard to remember who's who.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just, I try to base it, my text or call or email on how my conversation with them went. If someone seemed very hesitant about communication, I'll usually send them just something a couple of days later, text or email, depending what I got. Compared to if someone was just a total chatterbox call.
Yeah. Anything different to add, Nick?
Similarly, we do the block and showing time. And if I have someone else doing an open house for me, that way they have the feedback. Because the seller will get it right away with how many people showed up. This is some of the comments they receive. As far as follow-up goes, whenever I talk to somebody in open house, I carry a small, like, this little, a few note cards with. And then it gives them the opportunity to write down, it's like, when they want to, if I get their email stuff, I just have them write it down for me. That way they're providing, and then they just naturally start writing all their information down. And then, usually if it's a Friday or Saturday, it's a Saturday, a couple hours after the open house, I'll just send a text, hey, it was nice to meet you. If there's any other properties you want to see this weekend, please feel free to get a hold of me. Same thing, Friday, it's usually Saturday morning response. So then they're getting right away. And it's just, kind of, let's keep the ball rolling. You're already looking at one, I probably want to look at others. And just kind of trying to capture that opportunity if it's there still.
I think one thing that, well, you guys kind of all mentioned, or I finish your.
Oh, yeah, and then all my leads go into command, and then we set them up on the different command follow-ups we have for 36 touch, and things we have on our team. And it's just, staying in regular touch with them, just trying to stay top of mind.
Yeah, I was gonna mention sometimes as an agent, you're not doing your own open houses, and if you have a house that's in the market for a number of weeks and it doesn't sell right away, you're gonna have multiple open houses. And personally, I had a couple this summer where the sellers wanted to list a little bit higher than what I recommended. And the feedback from the open houses is hands down the best feedback that you can get. And when you're trying to talk to a seller, so as a newer agent or as an agent who's using open houses as a form of lead gen, if it's not your listing, the feedback that you can provide that listing agent is critical, because they listen to that feedback more than anything else, in my opinion. Would you guys agree? So you all stated that, but just that feedback of how many people are through, what did they say? Is the price too high? Is the home in good condition? Whatever it may be. They take that feedback, it seems to be on a more serious note than what the professional tells them. Tom.
So, I remember doing an open house for someone else, even on my team, as well as on my listing. I didn't use homework, but I'm not, just printing off the MLS, listing on the way and looking at it at stoplights, like trying to immerse myself in the details. I try to do something before, just like I do with other showings, so I can speak intelligently about it. Because obviously anyone coming through, you're the expert on that home, and you want to be caught,
Yes.
You're in the headlights when you don't know something about the house. So I don't know if you had it, you book your own preview show and talking about the tour.
And second, yeah.
Or show up. After work, and that's really.
And know it. I think that's a really great point that we did not talk about. So you are doing your own open houses, and so you are the expert. When someone comes in, you're handing them the flyer, you're telling them all the details of the home. But for someone who's not the listing agent, as a listing agent, you want someone who's going to be the expert, but also as an agent, when someone walks in and says, how many square feet? And you're like, let me look, I'm not sure. Being that showing agent doing the open house, to know as much as you possibly can, calling that listing agent beforehand, asking them questions, tell me the ins and outs of what makes this home special, so you can speak to it. So thanks for bringing that up, Tom.
Even with my listings, I get flustered sometimes too, but I have my iPad there and I can pull up the MLS. I have that right there, and then, oh, here's the, boundary lines of the acreage properties, so those trees, and I'm showing the map zooming in and out, so the iPad helps a lot on that side, and if you truly don't know something, that's a great way to get their information, say, I will find that out for you, I'll get back to you right after the open house. What's your number?
And that brings up the good point of don't pretend you know something if
Yeah.
you don't. It's a lot better to say, that's a great question, all right, let me find it for you, than say, oh, I think it's this, and then be wrong.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, pretty sure, yep. Do you guys have any questions or anything else that you wanna mention?
Just to piggyback up what Tom mentioned, I also kind of look in the area for other listings that are similar, that are available. Just because not everybody's, they're gonna walk through the home and goes, yeah, what do you think? It's not for me. Well, yeah, there's others in the area. Would you be interested in seeing any of these, and kind of take them aside and just kind of go through and, see if they're interested. Say, I'm done here in an hour. If you wanna, here's a couple, you wanna go get a cup of coffee and, I can circle back and meet you at the Saddles. And that way you're, again, trying to capture the opportunity.
Right there. And also you get people who come through and they say, I was just down the block at this home, and you say, oh, that's a beautiful house. That bathroom in the basement is, and they're like, you know that house? Well, of course, I know all the houses in this area
Exactly.
because, that's what I do for my job. And so it can knock their socks off.
And I mean, for the 9 years I've been selling, I can count probably on one hand of who walked through the open house and actually bought that house with me, or bought it, from there. So you are getting those people to help find another house, but just don't tell your sellers that.
One thing I would,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, one thing I would say is, I always say to the sellers is there's no one who's gonna sell your house besides you better than I will. And we've gotten 4 offers on listing of ours based on people who came through my open house. They already had agents, but it's like, everything about the house. And we've gotten a few listings from open houses too, just because neighbor walks in, we have all of our nice materials, we have the signs, we make everything look nice, there's music playing, and they think, are you gonna do this in my house? Yeah, and a lot of people look at it from the buyer standpoint, but it's amazing how well you can showcase yourself as a professional when someone walks in and you say, I know all the information on the neighborhood, we've printed everything out ahead of time, we've really made sure that this listing shines, and they're like, well, I want that to happen in my house. And then you might have a buy on that too, so they're selling and buying.
The neighbors are there to interview you, not look at the house.
Yep.
They're there to, hey, how professional.
The great point.
And
Yeah.
it's in the same vein. Just remember that when you're out there, even as you're driving up, setting up signs, you're being watched. I mean, people are watching your conduct, what are you doing? Are you spitting as you're doing it? You got the beer going, whatever. People are going, they're trying to judge, what is this guy doing? What is this person doing? They look pure professional, they're acting professionally, they go to the open house, and like he said, they're not just looking, they're kind of sizing you up. So just keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's bag in front of you.
With that too, my coach told me this a couple years ago, and I've done it a few times. It's not standard practice for me, but if you have those directional signs that are sitting out there for a month, 2 months, 3 months, he told me, put a little like envelope together. Hey, my name's Steve Grief. I'm with Kelly Williams. I just wanna, ask permission, if I can put my sign in your yard. And then also put a little $5 Starbucks card in there. That way they remember you. And it's asking permission to put a sign there, like, hey, let me know if you want to take it down, I'll come get it. Otherwise, half the time they just disappear. So,
Or they call you.
Yeah.
Say, hey, Tom, I love your sign, but you didn't ask me to put it in my.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I don't have a problem with it. I try to put it in a spot like, hey, you can still mow around it and things like that. But that was just one little trick. And he said he's gotten multiple deals just by doing that little thing.
So we didn't talk about the beginning, and I would be remiss to not ask. This year, maybe last year, whatever, how many buyers or sellers or transactions have you done from open house lead generation?
I would say probably in that 5 to 10 range. I think before, like I said, before COVID, we had a lot more luck with it and getting buyers and sellers. And I think like the best year I had was probably that 10 to 15 deals from open houses.
Wow,
So,
incredible.
and that's not all like, hey, turning around, buying and selling the next month. That might have been from 2 years ago, but they bought and sold that year.
Yeah.
So the follow-up with those leads is the most important part.
How about you, Mike? You just got 2 listing leads last weekend.
Right, yeah, yeah, it's similar numbers, between 5 and 10, there's a young lady who just signed a purchase agreement from someone I met 2 years ago at open house, and just rolled with her over time. And others, you know, it's within a matter of months, it's just depends on the buyer
Yeah.
or seller, and you know, it's just, a lot of times it's kind of a long play, but if you just stay in contact and keep communicating and, you know, developing that relationship, it's, you know, it'll pay off.
Yeah, it will. How about you, Sarah?
Not quite as many, probably something around like 3, 4.
Okay.
Like I kind of said, I go more so from the mindset of selling the seller's home and making them our #1 fan than I do trying to get new buyers, which I have started revamping because we want to get both. But
Yes.
not as many buyers from it, just, you know, A+ agent for the listing.
Yeah, and getting referrals that way. I mean, you've probably gotten referrals from that. seller.
Yeah, just for people.
Which is also-
You can see the detail.
Yeah,
We get a lot of feedback from that, even from going on listing appointments, is when someone shows up with a nice folder and they've done their research compared to, well, you should work with me because I'm just the best.
yeah.
We get a lot of feedback on stuff like that.
So before we wrap up, I just want to mention the open house playbook. So I'm sure you guys have all seen this, but those of you on Zoom, if you haven't, this is in KW Connect or in Command in the Connect. So this open house playbook has everything that you could be doing from mega agents. And there's a lot of different ideas in here because everyone does things a little bit differently, like we heard today. But lots of great ideas as to what you could do from a social media post. We didn't talk about social media posts, which maybe we want to take a second, but to flyers, different examples of flyers, to just many different tips and tricks as to how to make your open houses the most effective. So if you haven't seen this, it's out there for everyone. Go online and download it and take a peek. Social media, I mean, do you guys do social media as well?
We do a post on our page and tell our clients to go like our page, share that out, so then we can get the data from that, because then you can see, oh, how many clicks and everything there. And then we do a paid ad that runs Thursday to Sunday. And, you know, I know a lot of people use that as their main source of leads. I'm not really good at that, so I pay for the ad strictly to get the data for that price reduction conversation. You know, hey, our ad went on, we had 2,000 people see it, you know, 50 click on it, 10 leads come through. I'll call them all once, and then if they don't answer, I'll leave a message, but I don't really follow up with those, but I'm looking just for that number as well. Hey, here's everything that we did that first weekend.
Go ahead.
Another question on price, so obviously when you're doing your listing presentation, are open houses included in your listing? Are you charging a premium to do one? If it's you or someone else? Or how does that come up in the conversation? And it seems like it might be specific to the seller and what their situation is, but I mean, is that just standard as you're offering?
That's just my standard, yeah. I don't really have like the packages or anything, you know. But yeah.
In regards to social media, our team will push the listings out, you know, the standard, Instagram, Facebook and all that. Personally, to my listing, I try to get them, like every community is probably gonna have a chat page, a community page where people just put all kinds of stuff out there. And so I try to become members, join membership on those pages. And then if I'm, have a listing that's in the community there or surrounding community, I'm pushing it out there frequently just to all these available community sites. It gets a lot of feedback. And our marketing person, she has access to my Facebook pages and all my social media. So she goes to see how many views I have or how many, you know, likes and stuff like that. So it's, I find a lot of benefit from social media because I mean, why not? That's what
I think
it's at.
what you guys talked about, the data that you can get from seeing how viral a post goes or the lack thereof, and that engagement is so powerful for you to be able to go back. And especially if you're selling, like I know that you do a ton of business in Eden Prairie, and I'm guessing you do, you know, a lot of business up towards St. Michael, and really understanding, you know, I listed this home last week and it had 10,000 clicks, and right now yours is at 2,000. That could be because of price or because of doing a lot of different things, but really using that data to see. So yeah, anything to add, Carol?
No, I mean, I know we try to do a little video, like I took one this morning for our open houses that are gonna be this weekend. Cause then that goes out as a small paid ad and people like video more, it's only like 30 seconds long.
Yeah,
It doesn't really give any information about the property. It's
you
just-
create like a reel, and then do you, like, is it a reel or?
I guess I'm not the most tech savvy person, which one's the real, which one's.
Well, I'm,
Are you starving?
It's unfortunately, it's me, yeah, but just a little one that we'll put out, something like Facebook, Instagram, I usually try to post it on. My little Facebook thing on the top, that's supposed to be 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's the real.
yep, the story, yep, okay. We actually care, yes.
On our page, we'll do it as like an actual post and boost it, and then on my personal, I'll put it on the reel, so. It's, if people see it, they see it,
Yeah.
and then, usually closer to just something smaller, just saying it's tomorrow, check it out. Nothing crazy for us, that's more so just getting the face out, so people see it as an ad. Don't think as many people are gonna show up to the open because they saw it, it's more so just to, who's this?
Awareness, yeah, yep. Any other questions from you guys, any other comments? Well, thanks you guys, giving you a couple minutes back in your day. Thanks Zoomers for jumping on. We did record it, so if there's anyone who wants to watch it, we'll have that recording. And we can send it out. Okay,
Cool.
thanks all. Bye, guys. Bye.